Good afternoon. Welcome to JHSF earnings conference call on the first quarter of 2021. We have here Tiago Oliveira, CEO, CFO, Mara Diaz, Director of IR. And we have here Alan that's going to interpret into Brazilian Sign Language. And this presentation will be recorded. All the participants will be in listen-only mode. And this is being simultaneously transmitted through YouTube and via webcast. And you can access it in our website under ri.jhsf.com.br and also at MZIQ platform. Please ask your questions through the webcast, clicking on questions to the speaker. And before proceeding, we would like to mention that forward-looking statements in relation to management perspectives, projections, operational and financial goals are beliefs and premises of the board, as well as based on information that we have currently. They include risks and uncertainties because they relate to future events and therefore depend on circumstances that may or may not occur. Alterations in macroeconomic scenario or laws may affect our future development, our future performance, and therefore lead to different results in such considerations. Now I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Oliveira, who will begin his presentation. Please go on. Thank you, Mara. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Alan. Thank you for your help. I'm going to start on page 3 of our presentation, talking about our results, our profit during the first quarter 2021, always against the same trimester of 2020. And our net revenue advanced 130%, gross profit grew 274%, adjusted EBITDA grew 373%, reaching 241 million. Net profit, we advanced 16 millions, from 16 millions to 191, 1,071%, 78%. Next page. Much of this advancement that we saw in our consolidated result comes from the sales activities of real estate development that had a very good quarter, 247% growth. And the champion of sales was Boa Vista Village, which is a new development, but that's gaining really the spotlight in terms of participation in our sales. And related to Fazenda Cidade Jardim, the fact that we worked almost the whole quarter with the booths closed, the stands closed, did not help us. As far as gross revenue, we grew 275%, growing to 314 million in revenue, and the adjusted EBITDA was of 238 million, a growth of 476%. I would also like to emphasize that we have revenue to be performed of 403 million, and that will be posted in our results in next quarters. Our portfolio has 680 million, so that will go to the cash flow of the company. So we have more than 1 billion reais of performed and to be performed portfolio for the next quarters. Now the next page, in recurring income. First, a context assessment. We have to recall that part of the first quarter this year, the shopping malls were quite impacted because we had to reduce the propagation of COVID-19. Therefore, the shopping malls could not be open complete hours, and that impacted on sales around 15%. Positive result is that Cidade Shopping grew more than 9% during the same period. In terms of occupation cost, we reached 12.3%. And in terms of occupancy rate, it's sort of stable, 0.6% change. On page number 6, we see what happened as far as net revenue is concerned. And I would like to tell you that the company did not adopt differing of the effects of pandemic. Since the pandemic started last year, we have been more conservative, not doing linearization of revenue. So although we worked less hours in 21 as compared to 2020, our net revenue varied very little. Our gross profit fell from 26 to 23 million, and adjusted EBITDA we lost around 12 million. And I'll talk a little bit about what we see in the horizon as far as the shopping malls are concerned. Every time there is a flexibilization and it becomes more normal, so to say, we see that there is a quick recovery in flow as well as in sales. We had the opportunity of seeing this in for Q20, and what we see now in the first days of May, since we can open longer hours now, is not different from what we saw in last quarter of last year. And we had one that was better than in 2019 when there were no restriction because of the pandemic. So we are seeing this with positive eyes for the recovery of this business in the shopping malls with this gradual process of reopening. And it's a priority for the company to open in a safe way for everybody who go to our shopping malls, be them our clients, our salespeople, our coworkers who participate on this process of resumption. Now, page number 7 of my presentation, I'll talk a little bit about hospitality and gastronomy. What we saw during this quarter is not very different from the scenario that I described for the shopping malls. So some impact because of the restrictions, recalling that a year ago we had 15 days of impact, and this year we had almost the 90 days of the quarter that were impacted. In spite of that, we saw the mean coverts grow 8%. Redpack grew around 5%. So we can see that for hotels, and especially the hotels that are touristic destinations of the company, we had an occupancy rate that was quite good, quite strong. And that reflects in terms of what was possible to do in RevPAR improvement and also mean diaries. Restaurants are working with short hours, and especially in the shopping malls, there was a drop in 17% in the number of coverts sold, and the mean covert dropped around 4%. So this drop in mean cover is associated to the reduction of less dinners, where it's more common to have wine with the meal, what would bring up the mean cover, and especially dinners and suppers were more impacted as far as the reduction of hours. Now, page number 8, talking about revenue. With all the scenario that I have described, we were almost stable in net revenue. We could improve a lot the gross profit vis-a-vis that one that was registered last year. And we also, the EBITDA that was negative last year, this time was positive in this first Q21. What we are seeing today of what we call on the books, which is the reservations that we have already, is pointing towards improvement as compared to the first quarter in occupancy as well as in rates. And we are looking at the hotels that are more tourist locations that are really busy from now on. Now, page number 9, a little bit about the airport, a project that's still very small. In the first Q 2020 was small, and it was expanded as far as capacity is concerned. We went from 2 to 5 hangars, and now we have a capacity between hangars and patio of more than 55,000 square meters. And at the same time, the beginning of this activity in the airport gained momentum. So comparing with what we had in the first Q 2020, it was 258% growth. Comparing first Q 21 to 4Q 20 was 7% growth. And I would like to emphasize that the scenario of health in the fourth Q last year was much better than the first Q this year. But nevertheless, we could have a good level of growth. As far as fuel is concerned, we grew 400%, fourfold the volume of fuel sold, what shows that along with the movements that the airport is gaining traction and keeps growing. And when we compare 4Q20 to 1Q21, we have more than 30% growth in sales, fuel sales. This said, on page number 10, what did we see? The net revenue from the airport grew 268%. We have now a gross profit from minus 1.9 to 3.9 and adjusted EBITDA from minus 3.1 to plus 1.9. So we're quite confident about the performance of this activity. Our commercial pipeline is quite interesting. The process of internationalization of the airport took important steps. It's still advancing and advancing in the direction that we believe that will take to the conclusion of this process. Now, page number 11, to talk very quickly about the development of our apps, our digital performance. This is something that the company has been working with, quite focused on it since 2016. The figures we have are of growth and quite important figures. You can see CJ Fashion, CJ Concierge, CJ Food, real estate sales, as well as delivery Fasano. The company has many initiatives that it's tackling, and their intention is especially to improve the relationship of the company with their customers through digital tools. And as this tool are getting ready, we have been doing the deployment of them. And also we have been integrating these tools. Now, on page 12 of our presentation, to talk about ESG, as far as environment is concerned, the company has more than 5 million square meters of preservation areas, about 3 million within Fazenda Boa Vista, 2 million in Parque Catarina, not mentioning quite good amount of recovery of areas that was done through replanting. We have been working very close in our developments so that waste generated is recycled, and also the company within its actions have been getting closer and closer to cooperatives of recyclable items. From the social standpoint, we still work on philanthropic strategies. What we are doing quite a few things with Graake, Abrasi, JD Panorama Community. For these entities and also for other organizations, we made donations of food or material, including hospital material, in some cases even money in cash, or not in cash, but money, not only last year, but also throughout the first quarter this year. We have been doing interesting movements in-house in relation to have more women represented, and we have been working also with inclusion plurality. And I want to show you some figures for those that are not acquainted with that. 57% of our holding is represented by women, and in our in our board, 40% is of women. Mara, who's here with us, gave us the honor of being part of that. As far as governance is concerned, the company after the last assembly elected the stakeholders or the shareholders elected the board of directors, 75% independent members that lead 7 committees: audit, digital, risk management, financial, ESG, people management, and related party transactions. And we also have the fiscal council of the company that is always working. Now, last page of our presentation before we go into Q&A, just to summarize what was first Q21 like. Gross profit grew 274%, adjusted EBITDA grew 373%, and consolidated net income 1,078%. And our real estate developments is quite healthy. The EBITDA grew, the receivables grew, profit also. In the shopping malls, in spite of the problems we had activity in the high-end shopping malls that was quite positive when compared to last year. Hospitality and gastronomy, hotels, leisure hotels is doing fine. Restaurants are recovering. Now with this resumption process that we're going through, and the executive airport is maturing on its business plan. Before we start Q&A, as we have been doing in the previous quarters, we brought some QR codes in the sense of fostering people who are watching this webcast, in the sense of also being solidary when so many people need help and support. So we're going to leave this page open during the whole period of Q&A, give an opportunity for those who are not able to scan the QR codes right now. So now, Mara, the floor is yours. Please bring us the Q&A that you have in the platforms. Thank you, Tiago. First, we're going to start Q&A sessions. Shall you have any question? Click on Ask the Speaker in the webcast to forward your question. Tiago, I'm going to start by the airport. There are some questions, and basically they are on how we see now, what's our expectancy, our expectation in internationalization, what's missing and how long it's going to take. Okay, about becoming international, it's difficult to say in a closed way, in a certain way. What's missing? It's many governmental bodies that participate in this process of rendering the airport international. We have two bodies that have not finished some inspections that they have to do in order for us to have this advancement. As the world is a little bit closed, yet becoming international is not as relevant as it's going to be when we open the borders. So our team is aware that we have a scenario of opening of the world. The scenario is associated to what's happening as far as vaccination is concerned, and we are advancing quickly to finish this step. As airport, I believe that we do have today more planes that are in our hangars than we imagined for 2022. So our commercial process, our operational process is going well, thank you. And there is a discussion right now inside the company about a new expansion of capacity for the airport within the year of 2021. And that translates our view that the infrastructure that was presented for the users is quite safe, has quality, and is very well accepted, what is reflecting from the standpoint of the figures that we have. Last year, exactly on the same call, we came here with the message that the capacity that we were foreseeing for 2020 was already occupied. And what we are saying now is a very similar message, that we are close to occupying this capacity that was just launched. We launched in December this new capacity, and we have already dialogues about a new cycle of expansion of two more hangars for São Paulo Catarina Executive Airport. And about real estate, beginning in São Paulo, there are questions about Fazano, Cidade do Jardim, what the development is like, what we expect, what do we see as far as sales is concerned. In Real Park, people want to understand a little bit more about this development and the partnership we have. Starting with Fazano, Cidade do Jardim, the curve of construction is aligned with what we projected. This development, the commercial part of it, is quite associated to being able to open the physical stands, and in this quarter they could not. So that really impacted on the rhythm of sales of this development. But we're comfortable as far as the cash of the company, the project, what was already sold, and we understand there is a natural process of recovering the sales throughout the time that we still have in this development, which is about 2 years, and we are quite comfortable as far as that is concerned. In relation to the Rio Park project, this year, along with Evan, we announced an agreement we made which aims at maximizing the use and harmony of two projects that are in two plots that are together. And for those who are not following this closely, recently we did along with them a project where they were the developers and we operate a hotel, which is Fazano Itaim, where they did the development and we are going to do the management of a hotel that is built there. So this is something that we had announced It's in Rio Park neighborhood. It's a residential development with a shopping mall, which is something that the company was quite successful with Cidade Jardim, Parque Cidade Jardim, and we want to replicate it 2 minutes from where the Cidade Jardim Mall is. So it's a partnership of two companies that are looking at one another to cooperate and maximize the quality of the project with a project that has quality that we want to deliver to our customers. Thank you, Tiago. Parque Catarina. We have a question about when we intend to launch, if it's this quarter, or when do we intend to launch Catarina Tower? We are advancing quite well the master plan of Parque Catarina. And as soon as we have that finished, we will be able to bring in a more precise way what we are expecting as far as data is concerned. And we intend to do this within this year. And I hope that until the end of this year, we can announce that. Boa Vista. Boa Vista, we expect to sell, we intend to increase the prices. In Boa Vista now, we can sell more plots, so increase the plot sales. And the third land plot in Fazenda Boa Vista, if we have any development that's ready, if we intend to accelerate the launch of this project or not. Okay, Fazenda Boa Vista is a development that really called people's attention. It was quite attractive, 2018, 19, 20. And this keeps going in 2021, but it's a finite development. This is why it's important that we launched in 2019 Boa Vista Village, that is a follow-up on offering properties on that region of Boa Vista. And the project of Boa Vista Estates is a project that we should launch before we planned offering more plots in Boa Vista neighborhood. Within what we project, we should do in anticipation of 18 months, and that should happen in 2021, 18 months before we had planned. Now about digital, there's a question if we have any plan of consolidation of the apps, or if we have the plan of launching other apps. The answer is yes and yes. I guess that the work we are doing has the characteristics of JHSF, which is to be able to put in one single environment contents that are very good. Just like we get a project like Parque Cidade Jardim, and we put on it residence, shopping mall, retail, restaurants, hotel. We're doing the same thing in our digital solutions. Just like we think first the relationship of the customer in the company to then come with the format of this program, the whole architecture is based on the relationship that we have already with the clients that we should touch through different business units. So through the apps, the digital experience of the client would be more complete than what they can find in other alternatives that are around. So the integration of retail with food, real estate, restaurants, and hotels is in our agenda, and also trips. And within this closer relationship, we want to give back to the client through a fidelity program, and this has already been organized with a payment wallet that is quite advanced. We are still doing this macro architecture so that we can have a more complete solution, always focused in our customers' experience and in recognizing this client. In shopping malls, the expansion of Cidade Jardim, how do you see the occupation of this? They're both well. We don't have almost any more room to sell or to rent. It's a shopping mall that historically we never had vacancy, and right now it's the same. And brands that want to be seen uh, to the A public in the city of São Paulo, they have been choosing JHSF to be their business partners in Cidade Jardim Shopping to be the place for them to take their brands. And that's quite coherent to the product Cidade Jardim and our position in the market. About Fasano, how is a New York operation and gastronomy? The hotel is in soft opening right now. It's all the residential units have been rented in soft open. It's all taken. And as far as the restaurant is concerned, we want to inaugurate uh, at the end of September, beginning of October. That's when we intend to inaugurate the restaurant. Everything that's happening as far as economical reopening in the city of New York and the state of New York and in the U.S., it's quite encouraging for us because the flow of people should be back. About macro, there are some questions on interest and what can that affect in the results of the company, and what do you intend to do to minimize the increase in interest? Well, if you think about financial results, the company has a cash that the cash plus the receivables places the company in a positive position of cash. And with the receivables that have been indexed as well as our cash, we are neutral as far as that is concerned. In the operational aspects, we understand the movement that's been doing, increasing the interest rates. What calls our attention is that this increase in interest rates is facing a true economy that's weak. So it should happen, but it should not be concerning in the sense of really cooling economic activity. There are two questions, just to make clear, about the new shopping in Rio Park region, if it's going to be interconnected to Cidade Jardim, and if there is room since you have for a new shopping mall. It's not going to be physically interconnected, and the mix that this mall will have is different from Cidade Jardim mix. Cidade Jardim has a specific stance, much thought for fashion, much thought for lifestyle. In this new mall, which is Real Park Shopping Mall, will be integrated to solutions of service and retail, also for the A public, but to be complementary to Cidade Jardim. So we understand that for this place where the two malls will be, they will be, one will complement the other. they will not be competitive one to the other. Now the questions are more of the same. So thank you, Ellen, again for being here, so that this podcast is accessible to everybody. Thank you for the presentation, Tiago, and I give you the floor to close. Thank you, Mara. Once again, I want to thank Ellen. Thank you for the help you gave us to improve our communication process. And before we close, I would like to leave two messages. Number one, if you watch this video in a different time, be comfortable to make contact to us by ir@jhsf.com.br or our phone in São Paulo 011-3702-5473. I would like, on behalf of the whole administration, to thank our business partners, thank heartily the team of more than 3,000 people from our company that wakes up early in the morning, goes to bed late, intending to take quality and excellence for our special clients. I want to thank you all who watched this here. And once again, Mara, thank you for organizing this webcast. Thank you. So this session is adjourned. It's the earnings conference call of the first Q 2021, and we are available at our channels.